All right, so let's get started here. Thank you everyone for joining today. We're going to kind of go over total home electrification in terms of what we here at GreenSpark can offer you to kind of go away from some natural gas in any way, shape, or form that you can, and kind of new and exciting things that are happening in the solar storage world, the offerings that we have for each of these, kind of how we do things here. And then at the end, if you, as I said, if you have questions, feel free to drop it in the chat throughout, and I can answer them during the presentation or wrap it up at the end. So to start, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Katie. I manage our residential sales team here at GreenSpark. So if you have solar from us, you probably met with one of my salespeople, either Sean Lesord or John Conklin or maybe Kyle Gerold. So we have a few people here on the team that you've probably interacted with, and I oversee that team. I've also spoke at conferences like the Nicaea Solar Symposium. And I'm really into solar and clean energy and getting that to as many people as we can here in upstate New York. The house on the left is my house, so that's my solar array. I sized it accordingly. I have an east-west facing roof, so with a dormer on one side, so I was only able to put solar on one side of my home. So it's only west facing, but it's still, I had it installed early summer and I have not paid for electric since I installed my solar array. So I monitor my usage pretty closely. I monitor the apps, as I'm sure if you guys have solar, you have the apps, you're kind of seeing your production, watching your bills. I'm doing that as well, so I'm right alongside you guys. If you already have a system with us, I know we have a few people on this call that already have systems or something or other with us, whether it be an EV charger or a solar system. You kind of know the backstory here of GreenSpark, but for new people, we are an independently owned and operated business, and we've been in business over 20 years in the renewable space. So that's something very rare in the renewable space since it is a newer and exciting business. We've been doing this for over 20 years, so we kind of know the ins and outs, know the things we're going to come up against, and we can guide you through the process. We've installed a ton of solar all around New York, not just in upstate. But one thing that really matters for you is that we are a NYSERDA Gold quality installer. So that means that NYSERDA has inspected our systems. If you have a system from us, then you're familiar with getting the NYSERDA incentive, and you might have also been one of the people picked to have the random inspections from NYSERDA. And then they also grade you on those services, and then you can become a gold quality installer if you've received really high grade over multiple years. So we are a gold quality installer, and it just kind of shows you as a customer that we do it right, and an outside agency, not just me and my team, is saying that we do a good job. Rodney, for your question on where I live right here in Rochester. That is a home. I live downtown. So I live here. I experience the same winters as other Rochesterians. So I'm local just like you guys. And we'll talk a little bit about snow and stuff later in the chat as well. And the other two things is we are a certified B Corp, so we get audited by an outside agency to make sure that we're not only, a business that wants to profit and grow, but we also invest in our community, invest in our employees, are as sustainable as we possibly can be. And again, an outside agency is telling you as the customer that we are doing these things. And something unique to GreenSpark, and if you already have solar with us, you already know about this, but we do offer a solar production guarantee. So a lot of solar companies can come out and tell you what your solar is going to produce, but if you don't produce that level, which directly correlates with your savings, you might not save as much as you think, your bill might not go down as much as you think. And there's really nothing you can do about it. But here at GreenSpark, there is. We have a production guarantee. So we're going to guarantee that what we tell you your system is going to produce with all of our instruments, it's actually going to produce that. Or you get a check in the mail when we do our true ups at the end of the year. Now, sometimes we have maybe harder winters or lower sun summers, and that production guarantee kind of helps you through those times. So the main things I'm going to be chatting about today is we're going to start with solar. So if you already have solar with us, just hang tight. You might learn something new. You can ask any questions about your array as well. We also offer battery storage. Battery storage is a new hip thing in the market. We've actually been installing it for a few years now, and we've installed a bunch of them already. So we kind of know what we're doing. We're certified battery installers, and we have a few options out there and looking into more in the future. Smart panels, these are also a new really cool thing on the market. If you're a techie type of person and want that next level for your service panel, we're going to chat a little bit about smart panels. And then EV chargers, we'll touch on that quickly. Probably a lot of us know what an EV charger does, but it is part of your whole home electrification. So you feel free to drop in the chat if you already have a solar array, if you have questions about your solar array, or if there's something specific in those kind of home electrification areas that you want to hear about. Because I'm going to do a nice high level, broad conversation about it. But if you have some really techie question, I will try and answer, but I also will see your name so I can easily kind of look you up and maybe we can chat on the side. Sweet, Dave. Great to hear you. Looking forward to battery. They're really exciting. We've been selling a lot of them lately. So excited to chat more about it. So for solar, obviously we all know solar is going to take energy from the sun, and then that is going to go into your home. During a bright sunny day, you do have automatic transferring from the energy that your solar panels are creating right to your service panel. So if you're working from home at noon on August 15th, what you're doing in the home is probably automatically being consumed from your solar, which is pretty exciting. But we do try and size your system so that you can get a bunch of credits with the utility. So on that bright sunny August 15th day, you're going to use less than what your solar array is probably producing. So all of that extra energy is going to go back out onto the grid, and then you get credits with the utility, whether you have National Grid, NYSEG, RG&E, we work with them all, and they all have the same crediting system, and it is a one-for-one credit. So it doesn't matter if you sent them that credit of energy in August 2023, and then for some reason you don't use that credit of energy till August 2025, and now rates are much higher, which we're kind of all experiencing. It is that one-for-one credit. So it does shield you from the utility rates going up. So the more they raise their rates, you're actually going to be saving more because you are just using the solar energy, which you've probably already paid for or are paying back with your solar loan. So that's the one really, really big benefit of solar. People always say, how does solar work here in New York? How does it work in the winter? When we look at your usage, which over time, our usage will go up. If you add an EV to your home, if you add an electric heat pump, everything seems to take electric nowadays, charging, change over to an electric stove, you're going to use more energy. So you might want to size your system accordingly. And we also do expansions. So for Dave, and I think Rodney as well, you have a solar system. We do offer expansions if you have room. We can do it on the roof or the ground. Depending on what inverter you have, it can kind of change what type of expansion we do or the pricing, but you can work directly with one of our salespeople to understand if you need the expansion, why you need the expansion. We'll look at your usage, kind of figure out what's going on. So we do offer that. We also just upgraded to 435 watt panels. So over the year, panels do increase very incrementally over the years. So those are our freshest panels. If you don't have solar with us yet, that's what you would be getting. And then of course, incentives, which I have a whole slide on the incentives at the end of this presentation, but it is just like it says on this slide here, you do get a bunch of money back from the government in various ways, from NYSERDA, which is the New York State Energy and Research Development Authority, from the federal government and from the state government. Obviously, we know with the current political climate and the new administration coming in, some of these incentives could be changing. We know that the federal incentive is locked in for 2025. So if you get installed with us in 2025, when you go to do your taxes next year, you will be able to get that credit, even if they, for some reason, take it away for 2026 or scale it down. So we have a lot of people interested now trying to get on the book so that they can get that 2025 install and make sure they secure those tax incentives now. There's a couple additional things you can do with solar. Obviously, if you put solar on your roof, there might come a day when you need to do a removal reinstall, and that's totally fine. That is something we offer here at GreenSpark, and we try and offer in a very cost competitive way so that you don't have to worry about when you go get your new roof, we'll be able to come out. We already know your system. We have your whole design, all of the information. We can pull it down. You get that new roof on, we put it back up. So very common. We do them all the time. We try and do it very close to when you're getting the new roof, so you're not too much down on your production. If you have a solar array and you're thinking of getting a new roof, call me in the dark months. Call me in the spring and in the fall. Don't call me in July trying to get a new roof and a removal reinstall because you won't get those credits in the summertime that you really need to help get you through to the winter time. Because all of that excess energy that you're creating during the summer comes back to you in credits. Those credits are to be used in the winter time mostly. So that's how solar kind of works here in upstate New York is you bank a bunch of credits in the summer, you use those credits in the winter. So you don't want to take your array down in the middle of summer. Snow guard, if your array is right over your front door, you probably don't want that snow coming down. There's ways to retain that snow a little bit, break that snow up a little bit so it comes down a little bit nicer. And then critter guard as well. It's essentially a nice meshing all around the array. And if you already have a solar system, this is something that you can work with our customer care team to add on. You don't have to get it at the time of install. And quickly for EV charging, if you're looking into getting an EV, oftentimes the dealership or the certain car that you're getting will come with an EV charger. That's totally fine. We can install pretty much all of them. They're very similar across the board. We can also do service upgrades. So if you have, a 100 amp panel totally stuffed full, we can upgrade you to a 200 amp panel, get you a nice big box so that you have more spaces for future loads as well. So we can do everything. We can do the service upgrade. We can install the EV charger. We can also procure the EV charger for you if you just kind of want the general wall box charger that we install, which works on most vehicles. So as you're going down the road, probably a lot of us are going to be switching over to electric vehicles at some point. Just know that this is something that we can help out with as well. All right, battery storage. So battery storage is really exciting and it kind of keeps your array up and running at all times. So battery storage in New York right now is pretty much for blackouts and power outages. There always are conversations around, how can I use my battery to get more money from the utility or make my credits last longer, et cetera, et cetera. Because of the net metering program that I was just discussing, where in the summer you bank credits, in the winter you use credits, we don't recommend using your battery as a way to kind of skirt that because you need those credits. So in the summer, you want to be banking, in the winter using. In the summer, if you were to put it into your battery, use your battery like at night or when it's dark, put it into your battery, use it while it's dark. That's really cool for the summer. And that's why in California and Arizona, they do it that way because they're much sunnier than we are here. But once you get yourself to the winter, there will be snow on your panels. There will be days where they don't produce the best. And you won't have the credits because you didn't bank them during the summer. And now you can't recharge your battery to use. So now you're just going to be using grid energy just like you normally would. So you really want to use your battery now for blackouts, but it is nice to have if for any reason any type of changes occur to the utility. Our customers will be grandfathered in, but if there's anything down the road, you kind of shield yourself from that. But right now, it's a really, really, really nice alternative to a generator. And the best part is that it keeps your solar up and running during a blackout. So when the power goes out, your solar array will also go out. And that's strictly a safety reason. If it's kind of sunny while the power's out, the utility doesn't want you pushing energy to the lines that they might actively be trying to work on and get back up and running. So they make it so that when the power goes out, your solar also goes out. But if you have a battery, you can keep your solar going. So if it's kind of a nice day out when the power goes out, if your battery's nice and charged, you can use battery energy. But like I said, if it's August 15th in the middle of the day and the sun's shining, your battery's just making sure your solar's staying up and running and you're consuming right from your solar. So you might not even need to drain that much of your battery energy until it gets to nighttime. So it's kind of make sure that you get the most out of your solar array, even when the power is out. And then it keeps that up and running, and then you can bank that power to use at a later date. There's apps that come with all of it, including what you consume in the home. So it's super accurate to how much battery life you have left. Sometimes they make suggestions on what you should turn off, all of that good stuff. And it is eligible for the federal tax credit. So You heard me say federal tax incentive for solar. There is now also a federal tax incentive for battery. So it is 30%. And you can do it with solar or you can do it without solar. So if you already have an array with us, like Dave, and you want to look into a battery system, you can get it installed this year, go file it on your taxes next year, and get that 30% back depending on your tax situation. So it's kind of cool. If you also pair it with the solar, some of the new batteries have their own internal inverter. So you can kind of save inverter cost by pairing it. Not all of them have that, and different options have that, and it's only the newest one. So your salesperson, if you work with us, will talk to you directly about what kind of is the best option for you, depending on your home, how your array is shaped, all that good stuff. Now, currently, we are installing 2 battery options, although we are looking at different options in the future as well. This is a market where new things are coming out, and we kind of want to stay on the cutting edge of that technology. Right now, the best battery pretty much on the market is the Tesla Powerwall 3 for the pricing. It holds 13.5 kilowatt hours. So you can see if you have consumption monitoring on your array, you might be able to see how much you use per day. You could do like an average if you get your utility bill and add up your month and divide it by the number of days. You could kind of get a nice average to what you use each day to see how many power walls you might want. With one power wall, you can back up your whole home based on how it's sized. But a lot of people, if they know the power is going to go out and they really want to make sure they have a little bit more power, you can do 2 power walls. One power wall, depending on your home and situation, is going to run you between $15,000 to $20,000 ish. And then to add one more, it's only about another 10 or 11. And you do get the 30% federal tax incentive on that. So they're a really cool option to add to your array. We have been experiencing a little more blackouts than we have in the past. Obviously, we can all see that the weather is getting pretty extreme. So it kind of shields you from all of that. And it's nice to get that tax incentive while it's available. We also installed the Enphase IQ battery. If you are a solar customer that has the Enphase inverter system, this might be something cool to look into. And I have a little bit more information here on each battery. So first, the Tesla Powerwall, like I said, you can pretty much do a whole home backup off of one unit. You might not have a ton of power with that 13.5 kilowatt hours, but it will keep a lot of things running for maybe a day or two while the power is out. You just want to be really careful and potentially going down to your service panel and turning off a bunch of breakers, which you can easily do if you only really want your fridge, maybe some lights, and maybe your EV charger, turn off all the other breakers, have those ones just going for that. So you kind of have control over that, and your app will kind of explain to you maybe how much time you have left based on what you're currently pulling, all that good stuff. It's pretty seamless. They say milliseconds for it to turn over. Your battery is always kind of running in the background. So it's always at nighttime, you'll see it dip a tiny bit in how much capacity it has because it is a running unit ready to go. It knows, it wants to know as soon as the power turns off that it can bop over and start powering your home. So it's always running and ready to go. It's not like when the power goes out, the battery goes, oh, the power's out. Now let me turn myself on and get the power back on. It's pretty instantaneous. And then the Enphase IQ, what's kind of cool about this one is that they advertise a Lego block-esque install. So they're each 5 kilowatt hours. So they're a little bit less than half the size of the Tesla Powerwall, but you can kind of add them on over time and they're easier to add on over time. So you could do 10 kilowatt hours now, and then, oh, you get an EV or you have a kid or you use more loads in your home, you can add another 5 kilowatt hours on down the line. So that's kind of their advantage, and they pair really well if you have the Enphase microinverters on your home. It's all in one app. If you have another inverter, that's totally fine. You just have your Tesla app for your for your battery, and then you'd have your inverter app, which you already have on your solar array. Now, smart panels. These are really cool, and these also add to the battery and your solar because you have a little bit more control over your usage. So if you have solar, you potentially, some people add on consumption monitoring so they can see what they're using in their home, but you can only see that, overall based on the day. So I see that I use 10 kilowatt hours a day. Well, I had the dishwasher going. I was working from home. I had the fridge going. I did a little workout on my bike, all these things. I don't know how much my bike took, how much my washer and dryer took. I kind of just know the overall thing. What's really cool about Span is you can see that circuit level flow of electricity. So I'll know each breaker what it's pulling. And honestly, it has a lot of AI features that can kind of give you information on, hey, your fridge typically pulls 2 kilowatt hours a day. For the past week, it's been pulling 10. Like maybe the filter needs to be replaced. Maybe there's something wrong with the unit. Typically, your dryer pulls this, but I noticed over the past 2 weeks it's pulling this. So it can give you a lot of energy saving information, and you can see exactly where all your energy is going. So that let's say in a couple of years, you've added all of these loads, we can see exactly where that energy is coming from, potentially if you need an expansion on your solar system. It's a really cool piece of technology. Also, what's really cool is all of the breakers are app controlled. So you can go in from your phone. Let's say the power goes out, you're not home. You're away on vacation, everything shuts down. Bring up your phone, bring up the Span Panel app, start turning off breakers. Keep your fridge on, keep something on if there's a neighbor watching the pets at home, a little bit of heat. Just keep those on, turn everything else off so that your battery can see its way through that blackout. So it's just a really fun piece of technology that can not only be cool for you to use, but it's going to save you money because you're going to see all of your consumption down to that circuit level. It can include up to 34 breaker spots, but we can also tandem offer that off of that. So if you have a larger panel with more than 34 breaker spots, that's totally fine. And we will upgrade you to a 200 amp service with that. So if you have a 100 or 150 amp service, when you get the Span, we'd be upgrading you to a 200 amp. And it pairs really well with the batteries, the solar, all of that. They're kind of like a third party that knows people are installing power walls and other batteries, so they work really seamlessly with all of that. Now, these are the current incentives available. I kind of teased them earlier. If you got solar, you know about these, but you're going to first have the NYSERDA incentive. We do all of the permitting, applications, paperwork to get you that incentive, and then we take it right off of your top line cost, so you don't have to worry about that. Then you have your contract price. You can either cash or check, which is great, but we also offer financing. We have a few different financing options through a lender, as well as NYSERDA offers financing. So if you're interested in solar or battery, you can chat with our team about that and they can talk you through the financing options. Once you pay that contract price, that is what you are going to tell the IRS that you spent on solar this year. Then, depending on what you have paid into income tax, this is a tax credit, it's not a rebate. If you've paid into income tax, then you get those tax incentives back. So let's say the state tax incentive is $5,000. If you paid $6,000 into state taxes this year and you don't have any other credits or anything, then you should be receiving the $5,000 back in your taxes. Same with federal. If you paid, let's say your federal is $10,000. If you paid $10,000 into federal tax this year yourself or however you file with a spouse, then you could get that $10,000 back. Always consult your CPA. We definitely encourage snag that proposal from us, send it right to your accountant, or it's tax season right now. Play around in there, pretend you got some solar, take it away so you can kind of see what your tax incentive would be next year if you were to go solar. And these are also applicable to battery, like I said, just the federal tax incentive. So if you already have solar, you get battery installed this year, you go to do your taxes. It's just going to be just like you did your solar. You kind of just put the amount in, and then you can get that tax incentive back. That's pretty much everything. I know we had a 30-minute window here today. I have 3 solid minutes left, but I can stay a little later if people have specific questions. I know you're looking forward to chatting battery. If you have any specific battery system questions, or if you want to email me directly, I can try and chat with that. What's the lead time for a battery install? So we are installing right now into April, May timeframe for solar and battery, everything. So you would be put right into that install timeline and then be installed probably in like the April, May timeframe. There's also small talks from NYSERDA about a potential incentive down the line. So we're trying to get some information from them on that and when that would be released. But we do have customers that have bought a battery and then we were like, hey, we're hearing about this incentive. Like, do you want to wait to get installed till this comes out? And they're like, yeah, we're going to wait. Or they're like, nope, I want my battery right now. So we're always going to give you the information we're hearing. We're not just trying to install you to install you. So as we hear more about that battery incentive, I didn't want to have a whole official slide on it today, but we will keep you posted on when we think it's going to come out. They're hoping end of Q1 right now. So then you could get even more back towards a battery, which is really awesome. Yeah, so that's a really great question. What's better, the Enphase or the Tesla app? So it might depend, Dave, on what system you have. If you have the Enphase microinverters, you could get the Enphase battery. If you have SMA or Solar Edge inverter, then you have to go with the Tesla battery because the Enphase battery does not support other inverters. So if you have SMA, then we would definitely do Tesla for you, which the price point of Enphase is a little bit higher than Tesla. So that might be the best option for you. And the app is pretty cool on the Powerwall, so we can connect it right to your inverter. Great questions. Oh wow. Big energy bill this month, Rodney. I saw my bill go up, but I did use more heat, so I knew it wasn't my solar as well. Um, Rodney, if you have a array through us, which I think I recognize your name, I think you do. You can reach out to our customer care team on this as well, and they can help dissect your bill for you. Like, okay, it looks like, over this time you've used more energy, or you've done this, or the rates have just gone up. So we can help you kind of read those energy bills because if you, yeah, you have RG&E, they don't make it very easy to read those bills. So they can kind of help you through that. Um, if you have east-west panels, I have the west panels as well, so that definitely happens. In the winter, it's not as fun because there's definitely some snow on the panels, and this January was a pretty snowy January compared to the last few. So hopefully we get some warmer days here where it'll come off of your roof and you can see some more production. The normal cost for a span. So the span is going to run you around 6,000, I think is our install price right now. I'll say five to eight to give you a range depending on what your system is. If you already have the 200 amp service. There are, I believe, rebates of some sort available on that. Not rebates from us, but in terms of like tax incentives and stuff for doing things for your home that are going to make it more energy efficient. So if you have an accountant that you trust and it is tax season right now, feel free to say, "Hey, I'm thinking about looking at this span panel. What would this kind of get me if are there any incentives available from the clean energy programs?" These are great questions. All right, we're at the 12:30 time now. So if anybody has any more questions, feel free. It's just my full name here, katie.stellick@greensparksolar.com, and I'm super happy to answer. Another question. Would you recommend doing span or battery first? It kind of depends, Dave, on where you think you'll see the blackouts or when they've been happening for you. If you are typically home, then you're probably fine to go down and turn off breakers and stuff. It also depends on what size batteries you get. If you add two batteries and you're away from home, that should be fine to, keep it running depending on your usage. If you only want to get one battery and do the span at the same time, then it could make your battery life extend because you have that span panel so that if you are away, you can turn off those breakers remotely. So it's kind of up to your discretion there on if you would want to do span first or battery first. Span is really cool though to do first if you're having any thoughts about your consumption and wanting to dive deeper into what you're using in your home. If you're a very curious person or you're just seeing some changes in your usage or you're going to add on an EV or something else where you want to see where your energy is going and coming from, then I would definitely recommend the span first because that's going to give you all of that information to then potentially see if you want one or two batteries. You can kind of track, oh, this is how much my fridge uses over time. This is how much the things that I would want to go on during an outage. This is how much they use. Oh, it's under 13 and a half kilowatt hours for 3 days. Great. Then one power wall is going to be more than enough for me. Or, oh, wow, this actually uses a lot of energy. Do I want to look into more energy efficiency appliances or lights or things like that? Or do I just want to add a second battery and then I can have a little bit more peace of mind? All right, well, I'm going to jump off. Thank you again so much for all of these questions. And Dave, feel free to shoot me an email, or if you were working directly with John or Sean already, one of our salespeople, feel free to shoot them this over. I'll let you know that let them know we chatted, and then email me over any questions. Thank you so much for joining again. Have a great rest of your day.